Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Stephen, here with you for this week's Torah portion, or this week's Devar Torah. And as usual, I love to thank people for participating. Because it's just such a wonderful feeling when you walk into the synagogue on a Saturday morning. And it's really kind of funny because we started the service at 10 o'clock. There was nobody there, just the four of us. Within 10 minutes, the place was packed. I mean, packed. There had to be at least over 20 people there, and it was wonderful. Thank you to Hushang, who does a great job being Balkriya, who read the Torah, and Isaac. It was great having you come back and read some of the Torah portion as well. And of course, Alan as our Gabbai. We couldn't do it without you. And thank you to Abba Shaul. Now, Shaul is his name, and Abba Shaul, I like to call him that because that's one of the names of the sages in the Talmud, Abba Shaul. So kind of like a little thing that I do. And of course, Giovanni. So we had all these people that were taking part, that were participating, getting called up, lifting the Torah, participating in some of the readings. So again, wonderful. Thank you very much. As we move forward, and yes, the high holidays are right around the corner. Typically, personally, I think about it after Tisha B'av, but then 2 weeks later, we had a full moon this weekend, and that's the 15th of the month. 2 more weeks, and we have the month of Elul. Elul is when we start reciting Psalm 27, which is a psalm for the penitential season, and that is done every day between the beginning of Elul, which is the month before Tishrei, which is the first of Tishrei, of course, is Rosh Hashanah. And we do that all the way into Shemini Atzeret, which is 3/4 of the way through the month. And it's a kind of a long high holiday season, and we're pretty close to it. So, and of course, this year we'll be doing our Selichot the week before high holidays. The high holidays comes this year on Labor Day, which is the first weekend in September. I believe it's the 6th and the 7th, without looking at the calendar. Selichot is going to be the Saturday prior. It's going to be held at TBI. It's going to be live. It will also be broadcast on Zoom. I will be participating, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. So, lots of things going on. This week's portion, I'm happy to say, is my bar mitzvah portion, Eikev. Now, Eikev may sound a lot to a lot of you folks like the word Yaakov, which is where it comes from. Because if you remember, when Jacob and Esau, who were fraternal twins, were being born, Esau came out first, and Jacob came out right after him. And the Midrash says that he was holding on to his heel, Ekev, which is heel, and hence the name Yaakov. Ekev has a variety of meanings. It can mean heel. It could also mean the metaphor heel, the symbolic, like your real heel, like, why did you do that? Why did you go behind my back? That type of heel. But in this case, the word Ekev refers to some of the minor mitzvot, some of the minor commandments. Now, some of the commandments, are pretty intense, like don't murder. And, some of the other commandments, might be a little bit less, things that you wouldn't think of. And for the life of me, I can't think of them right now. I'm sorry, but there's only 613. So, but there are some commandments that are not as big of a deal as, some of the other ones. And those are Ekev. And Moses is telling the children of Israel, this new generation that's going to settle the land, that's going to conquer and settle the land, that, you know what, don't leave any out. Don't think that just because some mitzvah, like, I don't know, I can't even think. To me, they're all the same. Honoring the stranger, being honest in business. To me, they're all equal. That's just me. But don't you think that maybe because some of them, give 10%, maybe I'll only give 9, for example, that you can pick and choose, cherry pick which commandments you want to obey or which ones you want to adhere to. Moses even tells people that Torah is complete. Do not add, do not subtract. It is perfect as it is because it comes from Hashem. Very important message. And once again, Moses reviews So, and that's what this is. This is all one big review because remember, most of the people sitting in front of Moses were not there when their parents left Egypt and stayed in the wilderness and had the benefits of the manna. So Moses has to remind them that God is with them. Within this review is a rebuke. Moses tells people, God took care of you. He protected you. Your clothes didn't wear out. And it's really interesting when Moses tells everybody that, see, your clothes stayed fresh. And there's a lot of different, this is one of those things where there's different interpretations. The Orthodox, the traditional, the Art Scroll says that magically the clothes stayed perfect throughout the 40 years of the wilderness. And the Sansino, the conservative version, is more like, well, they were able to mend it and they didn't really do a lot of work in it because God provided. So the clothes didn't really deteriorate. It's not like you're out there digging ditches every day and, you go through shirts one a week, right? So different interpretations, different points of view. But Moses definitely wants to make sure that these people understand. So he uses that term, am Peshe Oref. You are a stiff-necked people. God took care of you, fed you the manna, made sure there was water, protected you from invaders, and yet you still rebelled. Still wasn't good enough. And Moses said, this is who you people are. It's basically in your DNA. You will succumb. You will go to the land, and when you start farming, and as you obey the commandments, God will provide, and everything you do will be successful. And if you're a farmer, your crops will grow. If you're a cattle, or if you're herding cattle or sheep, your flock will grow. And what's going to happen? You'll be wooed by prosperity, and you will forget where it came from. You will forget that all your prosperity is from Hashem. Moses is telling him this. It serves, number one, as a warning, number two, as a prophecy. And let's look at what a prophecy is. Okay? If if you have a nice car, say one of those Challengers or one of those new Mustangs, and you just got it and you're driving 90 miles an hour all over the place, and I say to you, you keep that up, you're going to get a ticket. Sure enough, you go out driving, a cop sees you, stops you, gives you a ticket, your license gets revoked. Yeah, am I a prophet? Or was I just able to see the signs say, you're going to get yourself in trouble? You have no self-control. You love this car. You just going overboard. So am I a prophet? Am I a genius? Or am I just, this is the way it is, right? Am I just reading reality correctly? So what is prophecy? Moses sees these people, your parents were a stiff-necked people. You seem to be a stiff because you're still complaining, even though you didn't grow up in slavery. Yeah, it just seems it's part of who you are. So I'm going to tell you that you are going to get in trouble because of who you are. So I'm telling you this just to let you know that you really need to be careful. And unfortunately, you people are so stubborn, you are a stiff-necked people, that unfortunately, the only way you're going to learn is when you get prosperous and you forget the commandments and you start intermingling with these other tribes that we told you not to with whom we told you not to intermingle or intermarry, and you're going to start getting wooed by their practices because they like to indulge their bodies in their pagan religions and in their rituals, and you're going to succumb to that. And guess what? God's going to say, okay, you don't want the commandments, fine. I will do to you as you're doing to me. You're ignoring me, I'm going to ignore you, and you're on your own. So when invaders come and they invade you, don't look to me to help you because you're on your own. Not necessarily a prophecy, just like reading the signs. As Et Hanan, the previous portion, had the Shema and the V'ahavta. The V'ahavta is the first paragraph of the Shema. Remember, there are three. Eikev contains the second paragraph of the Shema, which is V'haya im shmo tishma'u mitzvotai, if you obey and adhere to the covenant and the commandments, then your crops will grow, the rain will come in its proper seasons. the early rains and the late rains. And you want the rains to come in its proper season. You want the early rains, which you plant your crops, and you want a strong rain to come and nourish the crops. And then as the crops grow, you don't want a strong rain because they'll wash out the crops. So you want kind of more like a drizzle to kind of nourish the crops. So whereas the V'ahavta is really kind of God's idea of mercy, the second paragraph is really reward and punishment. And excuse me, another thing that this particular paragraph talks about, where the V'ahavta is all in the singular. Wrap them on your arm, wrap the tefillin on your arm, put up the mezuzah. In this second paragraph, it's all in the plural. So I will leave you with this. We are individually responsible for the covenant, and we are, as a people, responsible. All right, we are responsible for ourselves. We're responsible for each other. That's the meaning. That's why you have the two paragraphs, one in the singular, one in the plural, among other things. Okay, thank you for listening. We will see you in services. Looking forward to you being there for my 53rd anniversary. 53? Let's see, I was 13. No, 50. Yeah, 53. 53rd anniversary of my bar mitzvah. See you there.